Iftar. I'd like to welcome you to our first ever national virtual Iftar. I'm from the Canadian Council of Muslim Women. My name is Nuzhat Jaffrey, and I wanted to get us started. We have a full program before we actually break our fast, because we have people joining us who wanted to learn about Ramadan and what it is, and what its significance is, and why it matters to Muslims. So they're going to be participating in this virtual session, and then some of them are actually going to be in a live iftar in Ottawa. And the rest of us who were able to, we have ordered our iftar halal meals, and we will be breaking fast together. So thank you again so much for joining us. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Mariam Hamawi, who is the mighty organizer of this particular event. Over to you, Mariam. Mariam, you're muted.
That's the new or the old saying. So my name is Mariam Hamawi. I am the fundraising officer with CCMW. Thank you all for joining us for today. I would actually like to introduce our first speaker is Shaheen Ashraf. So Shaheen is a CCMW National Board of Director and the CCMW Montreal Secretary. She sits on the board of West Island Citizens Advocacy and Senior Abuse Committee. She believes in justice for all and will do what is necessary to achieve it. Please welcome Shaheen Ashraf.
Thank you, Mariam. I am honored to, I need to make a correction though. I'm not on the board anymore. I'm the past board member of West Island Citizens Advocacy. So just in case somebody from WICA, as they call it, are listening in. I used to be their member. So my thoughts with you, I want to share, and I'm grateful to Firdaus for having given me this opportunity to discuss this holy month of Ramzan, or Ramadan as pronounced in Arabic. First, my disclaimer though, I'm not a scholar and I'm not a technical person, so you will not see any kind of fancy lights and images and lanterns and scripts to go along with my talk. I think almost everyone present today knows enough about this month. So perhaps I will not be sharing anything that is so new to you, but for those who are new to this information, I hope I will succeed in explaining everything properly. As always, we start in the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. And I'm going to read chapter 20 of the Quran, verse number 25, 26, 27, and 28. This is a prayer that we say before giving a speech. We invoke the Lord to help the people understand what we want to convey. This same prayer was used by Prophet Moses before he faced the Egyptian Pharaoh. When he came back to free his people. And it goes, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri wa halul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, which means, my Lord, give me the courage to speak, ease my task for me, make my speech eloquent so that I can express myself clearly for the listeners to understand what I wish to convey. Ramzan is the 9th month of the calendar. And it is important to Muslims around the world because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, started receiving revelations. These were later compiled as the Holy Scripture, Quran. The first revelation came to the Prophet during one of the last 10 nights of this month. We are celebrating these last 10 nights right now. The other important aspect of this month is that it was declared as a month of fasting. Quran chapter 2, verse 183 that you just heard, the recitation declares, O you who have attained to faith, fasting is ordained for you as it was ordained for those before you, so that you might remain conscious of God. There is a lot of emphasis on God consciousness, and this can be understood in different ways. Just by abstaining from food and drink, staying
Are you
away
going
from all
to Senior
kinds
School?
of carnal desires from dawn till sunset does not fulfill God consciousness part of fasting. Of course, the hunger pangs do remind us for the ones who are not as fortunate as us. So sharing food becomes a part of that God consciousness. Giving charity, serving your community in any which way you can, increasing your nearness to God by saying extra prayers would all come under that banner. Fasting actually develops our willpower. A German professor once wrote, fasting is an effective means to establish the control of the spirit over the body, where man lives with full control over himself without being a slave to his physical inclinations or needs, unquote. I'm sure you noted that the verse says, as it was ordained to those before you. So fasting has been widely practiced at all times of man's religious history, and many communities fast in different ways. According to the Quran, fasting is incumbent upon every healthy adult man or woman. It is a kind of a spiritual purification. But today we know that it is beneficial for our health too. And I'm sure our nutritionist will tell us that. You must have heard the term intermittent fasting that nutritionists are recommending now for our well-being. With all this information, we come to the conclusion that the importance of Ramzan is threefold. First, to commemorate the beginning of the Quranic revelation that took place this month, 13 years before the Prophet's exodus to Medina. Second, to provide an exacting exercise of self-discipline. And third, to make everyone realize through his or her own experience how it feels to be hungry and thirsty, so that we gain true appreciation of the needs of the less fortunate among us. The next verse, number 184, continues to say, during a certain number of days, but whoever is ill or on a journey shall fast instead for the same number of days and give charity to feed a needy person. And whoever does more good than he is bound to do, does good for himself. Now, when I say himself, it means herself too. So for to fast is to do good for yourselves if you but knew, unquote. It is like God is telling us that we do not know how good fasting is for our health. As I mentioned earlier, this month is the 9th month of the calendar. And in previous times, the Arabs followed the solar calendar. So Ramzan was a summer month. It always used to fall during the summer. In fact, some people say that the word itself means summer or heat. Later on, when the calendar was changed to lunar, Ramzan rotated all around the calendar year. This way, the Muslims got to enjoy this fasting in every season, at least twice in their lifetimes, because according to calculations, the lunar year falls 10 days or 11 days short of the solar year. Now, the third verse, 185, goes to say, it was the month of Ramzan in which the Quran was bestowed from on high as a guidance to man and a self-evident proof, and as a standard by which to discern the true from the false. Hence, whoever of you lives to see this month shall fast through it, but he that is ill or on a journey shall fast instead same number of days at another time. God wills that you shall have ease and does not will you to suffer, but that you complete the number of days required and that you extol God for his having guided you and render thanks to him. Please note that God wills ease and does not will you to suffer. This directs us to understand that just by being hungry and thirsty is not the focus of fasting. The focus is that hunger and thirst should make us think more about growing spiritually, think about improving ourselves, think about continuing the good acts that we were observing and striving for during this month, all around the year, which of course would lead towards making a world a better place for everyone. Muslims, being multinational, have many different traditions as to what they eat to start their fast at dawn or break it at the time of sunset. The small meal recommended at dawn, which is termed sahur, differs according to geographic location or family traditions, as does the iftar meal. Iftar is breaking of your fast at sunset. We all have our different favorite foods, but all of us should be mindful of what we eat or drink during this month, as we do need our energies, our hydration, especially here in Canada, where the days are more than 12 or 14 hours long. Ramadan is also a joyful time. People decorate their homes with lanterns, flowers, wall hangings, etc., exchange gifts, families collect at the time of iftar, festivities abound. Some people want to go to the mosque to break their fast and pray with the community. Many people, they prepare snacks and little small meals and just to share at the mosque. Basically, it's a time of giving, sharing, and caring. Muslims do a lot of charity work during this month. Being of service to our communities is part of being a good citizen, a good human being. To live harmoniously, we need to be supportive and helpful to all people, regardless of their backgrounds or their religious beliefs. It also feels good when we help others. The best thing that we give of, when we give of ourselves without the expectation of getting back in anything in return, we are turning our actions into spiritual offerings. There are many volunteering opportunities that would come under our charitable acts, such as serving dinner at a shelter, mentoring our youth, cleaning up a locality or a beach, helping seniors in the community. This is a kind of a service, again, that we may not even think of as being acts of charity or service, like learning a new language, perhaps a sign language, so that we can communicate with more people. This is another way to reach out. Inviting someone who isn't motivated enough to exercise on their own to join you on your daily walk is also a way to give of yourself. Sharing flowers or vegetables from your garden, organizing a poetry reading, offering to babysit a busy parent, or donating pet food to an animal shelter, all are simple ways to offer our services to our communities. Imagine the impact we would have on the environment if we picked up one piece of trash off the street every day, or chose not to drive our car once a week. Even gardening tactics, such as throwing seeds, wildflower seeds on a vacant lot, just to brighten the lives of others, including the lives of birds and insects. During our prayers, we can ask for this guidance, what we can do to be of service. This can be a wonderful way to start our day. Even smiling at a stranger who looks down in the dumps is part of giving of ourselves. Remember, giving of ourselves is the best gift that you can give to others. It is not necessary to sit on a prayer mat and meditate to get rewarded. These are all acts of worship and can benefit us along with our communities. Every day we can do something to make this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaheen. You beautifully shedded the light of Ramadan, especially in these last 10 days. So thank you so much for being with us today and speaking. So next we have Sukena Barwani. Sukena is a holistic nutritionist, wellness coach, and a functional microbiome educator. I hope I'm saying that right. Skeena runs her own practice, works with clients in a one-to-one setting, and hosts workplace wellness workshops. Skeena is also a wellness recipe creator and loves spending time in her kitchen, working on recipes that are nutritious, taste great, and packed full of intentional ingredients. She has recently released a cookbook full of nutritious meals that can be made in an electric pressure cooker. Please welcome Skeena Barwani.
Alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. First off, I want to say, Shaheen, that was beautiful. Thank you for touching on all the many ways that we can give ourselves this month. So many that I hadn't even thought of, but it's nice to have all these options available. So I do a lot of talks before Ramadan about nutrition and how we can prepare ourselves and be more mindful, as Shaheen mentioned, in our eating during this month. And it's usually before Ramadan, but I think this is a great time to discuss it again, because this is the time when we're a little more tired. We don't have as much energy and we're not as focused on the foods we eat because we're, big nights are coming to the last 10 days. We're focusing on other things. But eating is just as important now as it is in the very beginning of the month. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some tips and some things to keep in mind for these last 10 days with your nutrition and hydration, just to make the last fasts go as easy as the first few, and you still have the energy to go on and do what needs to be done. I'm going to share a slideshow, and while we're talking. Okay, so a really important thing to remember in Ramadan is you want to make sure you're having balanced meals, both at your sunrise meal and your sunset meal. So sahur and iftar, you want to make sure you're having balanced foods, and you want to focus, what that means is focusing on including foods that are a lean source of protein, that has a carbohydrate source as well, healthy fats, and lots of fruits and vegetables. They're so beneficial to us because we're not eating for so many hours. You want to make sure you're packing your meals with as many nutrients as you can to help you go through the rest of the day. You need the energy, you need the nutrients. It's not always easy to take your supplements during this month just because of the timings. So you want to make sure you're getting all of this, all that you can from whole food ingredients. These foods will help keep you feeling fuller for longer and give you the energy you need for the next day fasts. And again, those foods are a combination of lean protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats with lots of fruits and vegetables. And this may seem hard to do at sahur, the sunrise meal, but with some planning and some meal prepping, it's very, very doable. And there's a few different things that you can try. I'm going to share some options a little later. And by making an intention to eat better and with some simple modifications, you can still enjoy all the foods that you do regularly. Just a few things you need to do to make sure you're getting the most of your meals and you're keeping them as nutrient dense as possible. So I discussed protein sources. You want to make sure you're including some protein sources. And here's an example of some protein sources that you can include. So you have the lean meats and chicken, fish, shrimp, all of those that you might include in your iftar meals. But also for sahur, you can add eggs as well, because that's a great source of protein. And then you've got some non-animal sources, so more vegetable, plant-based protein options. And you've got the almonds, oats, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, broccoli, quinoa, lentils, beans. These are great protein sources that you want to try to include in both your iftar and sahur meals. And carbohydrate sources. So you want to focus on complex carbohydrates because that's what's going to keep you feeling fuller for longer. You want to avoid those processed carbs because those just go through your system really quickly. They can increase your blood sugar levels, and give you spikes and falls. So to keep everything leveled, you want to make sure you're focusing on complex carbohydrate sources, which include sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice, whole grain foods like whole grain breads, flours, and pastas, oats, and then you've got corn, carrots, and peas are also carbohydrates, and bananas, apples, and mangoes. And the thing about these foods is that they're very high in fiber. So the fiber, again, will help keep you feeling fuller for longer. It'll help balance your blood sugar levels, but it's also very beneficial to your digestive health. Many of us suffer from digestive upsets in Ramadan. So fasting is great for us because it's a way for us to detox our bodies. It's a way for our organs to have a little bit of a rest. And it's a way for our body to focus on other things as well, rather than just digesting the food. But you also have to make sure you're providing yourself with the right foods to help this happen. So by having a fiber-rich diet, especially in Ramadan, it just keeps everything in your digestive system flowing regularly so that you can go on from there. So these are some carbohydrate sources you want to make sure you include. And then healthy fat sources. So for a really long time, fat was given a really bad name. You know, you want to avoid fat, you want to avoid fat. And there are some fats that you do want to avoid. But then there are also some fats you do want to include because they are very, very beneficial to us. They give us omega-3 fatty acids that our body needs. It just helps, again, everything flow better. It's great for our brain health and just general health. As with everything, moderation is key. So obviously, you want to keep moderation in mind when you're including these foods. But again, there's no reason to be afraid of adding these foods to your meals. In fact, you should have a little bit of healthy fat sources in every meal. Again, to help balance your meals and help keeping you feeling fuller for longer and to give you the energy that you need. So some of these fat sources include extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, coconuts, ghee, avocados, nuts and seeds, cheese, nut butters, so that's peanut butter, almond butter, even seed butters are good, fatty fish like salmon, and eggs. So here you go, you've got eggs as a healthy fat source, and you've also got eggs in the protein source. So for sahur, you can have eggs on toast, which is a very balanced meal, and you have like maybe some fruit on the side or some vegetables on the side. But that's how it's easy to balance your meals with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So some simple modifications you can make to your meals. Again, you can still enjoy the foods you love. There's some foods that all of us really enjoy or look forward to having in Ramadan, and you can still enjoy them, but just try making them a little bit differently. Just this way you're getting more benefits from your food. It's healthier. It's easier for your body to digest and to absorb the nutrients, because don't forget, you've been fasting all day, your body's detoxing. You want your body to have a chance to do what it's supposed to do this month. So these simple modifications can help with that. So instead of frying your appetizers, try baking them, or you can even air fry them, put them in an air fryer, and they turn out great. I love samosas, and samosas in the air fryer turn out wonderful. You just do a little bit of a spray. I spray some avocado oil on them, and they turn out wonderful. You can bake them as well. So there's no reason you can't have them. Just try to find other ways to cook them. Open your fasts with a salad, fresh fruit, or a bowl of soup. Again, it's getting all those vegetables that your body needs. And so these vegetables are packed with water content, so it's giving you the hydration you need. And it's a light start. You're not starting with something heavy. This way you have a lighter start. It's giving you a chance to fill with some good food so you don't overeat. You don't overstuff yourself, because that's something you don't want to do this month as well. Get creative with your salads. So if you're going to have the same salad every night, it's going to get boring. You're not going to be looking forward to it. So get creative with your salad. Add a variety of fruits and vegetables to your salad. I like adding certain fruits in because it kind of gives it a bit of sweetness as well to the salad. So my favorite add-ins are like oranges, blueberries, strawberries. I even like apples in my salad. So get creative with your salads. Mix up your vegetables. Add some fresh herbs, kind of just gives it a freshness. Use different dressings. So it's a fun way to get all your vegetables in and not get bored or make it redundant. So, and add your nuts and seeds. So you've got your salads, you've got your vegetables, and you add your nuts and seeds, you've got some complex carbohydrates in there as well. Try for a few lighter meals through the month. So every month, people eat heavy meals, and you feel very heavy by this point of the month. So what I like to do is once or twice a week, we'll have a very light meal. We'll have a soup and salad night, and that's it. The kids will go on and have something again after, but it just gives your body a chance just to like work out all the extra foods that we have been eating in those non-fasting hours. A lot of people like to open their fast with tea, and these teas are great, but they are high in sugar and they have a lot of cream added into them. So if it's something that you want to have something warm to open your fast with, try instead of tea with sugar and cream, try some warm water with lemon and a little bit of honey. The lemon just helps detox your body, it helps hydrate you, and it helps with your digestion. So it's more beneficial to you in that sense. You can also start with a herbal tea. You want to eat more whole grain options. As I mentioned, you want more fiber. You want a fiber-rich diet because that's what's going to help your body and your digestive tract. It's just going to help you feel better throughout the month and give you the energy that you need. Whole grain options are, as I said before, you may want to avoid white processed flours. So you want to avoid processed white breads, pastas, and go for more whole grain options. There's a lot of things out in the market right now that taste great. You can't even tell that it's not the processed white flour. They've got lentil pastas, they've got quinoa pastas, they've got grain breads, and all of that is higher in fiber and more beneficial to you, and it keeps you feeling fuller for longer. Use natural sweeteners like pure maple syrup, honey, dates, date sugar, coconut sugar. We all have dates in our kitchen this month. We all have a lot of dates, and it's a great way to add natural sweetness to your meals, to your baked goods, even as a dessert. We open our fast with date balls, energy balls, and then for dessert, we usually have stuffed dates because it's just, we have so many dates, so we want to use them, but it's a great way to get that little sweetness in, but you're not using the processed sugars, which will spike your blood sugar levels. Natural sweeteners like these are a little less likely to give you blood sugar spikes, and it just keeps everything more flowing better and more leveled. You also want to take little breaks to avoid overeating. So a lot of us start eating and we just eat and we go, and it takes, they say, 20 minutes for your stomach to send a message to your brain that you're full. So by taking little breaks, by eating a little slower, you have that chance for the communication to be heard to the brain, to your brain, and telling you, okay, you know what, I'm full. But the faster you eat, you don't have that. And that's what happens. Sometimes we finish eating, we're like, oh my God, I'm so stuffed, I'm so full. That's because you missed that window of when you had just enough to be content. By not knowing when to stop, you just keep going, you know. And so take a little break, eat a little slower. You know, it's nice to have conversations during dinner with the family, or if you're having iftar with family and friends, and start a piecemeal. If you're going to start with a soup and salad, or, you know, fruit chat or something like that, then take a little breather and then go for your main course, and then take a little breather and then see if you want dessert. Sometimes you don't need dessert, and that's fine. You can have some fruit or something like that as well. And the other thing is you want to try to meal prep foods for sahur, for your sunrise meal, because let's be honest, it is the middle of the night, and you are, you know, quite often we wake up and we're tired and we think, you know, I'm just going to grab something quick and I'm going to go right back to sleep again, especially at this point of the month. I always find this point of the month is when I'm like, oh, do I really have to wake up? But I know it's really important to get in some nutrition at this time, because this is what you need to stay fuller throughout the day and to give you the energy you need to go on as normal. So by meal prepping these foods, it makes it easier for you to almost grab and go. So I'm going to share it here. Some easy sahur meals to prep. So again, sahur is a sunrise meal. So we tend to have more breakfasty foods. Well, at least in our house we do. We have more breakfasty foods at this time. So some foods that you can prep, and you can even do them now. We've got 10 days left, and it's a great way to make sure you're getting the right nutrition in, is oats. Again, high in fiber, it's a whole grain. You can make something called overnight oats, which is cold. You just soak the oats in some nut milk and some maple syrup, and then you can have it with some fresh fruits. You can have warm oats. Warm oats are great. I like to prep them in advance, because then I just take out a portion, I add in a little more water if I need, and I heat it up. And the great thing about reheating certain carbohydrates like this, like oats and grains, is that they have something called resistant starch. And when you reheat these grains, you increase the amount of resistant starch available in them. And resistant starch is really important to help feed the good bacteria in your gut. So you want to make sure in the good bacteria that lives in your large intestines. So by reheating grains like oats, or even rice, quinoa, things like that, it increases the resistant starch. So it feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which is beneficial to your digestive health. So that's another reason to do something like that. Then you can make something simple like oat pancakes. You can make them the day before, make a batch, you can put them in the fridge or even freeze them and just put them in the toaster when you're ready to eat. And all of these things can be topped with fresh fruits, some nuts, some seeds, and that way you're getting a balanced meal at that time. And it doesn't take a lot of time. If you have fresh fruits cut, grab a handful of seeds and you're ready to go, warm up whatever you're having. The other thing you can meal prep are some eggs. Again, we were saying eggs are great as a protein source, and they're also a good source of healthy fats. You can boil eggs, have them ready to go, slice them up, have them with some spinach greens on toast. That's a great breakfast, or even some avocado on toast. You can have egg muffins that you prepare in advance. You can quickly fry an egg, or you can poach an egg, but eggs are another great thing that you can try to prep. You can prep some sauteed vegetables. I like to saute some vegetables, and then I just reheat them really quick, and I add them to my omelets, add them to my scrambled eggs, I add them to my wraps, or I add them onto my toast. So I can have some toast, some sauteed vegetables, and maybe put a fried egg on top. And it's a small portion, but it's filling. It's got everything you need in there to have a balanced meal to help keep you going the next day. Then you got toast. You want to focus on whole grain breads. Even sourdough toast is actually really, really beneficial to us because it's a fermented grain. So it helps with your digestion as well. And you can get your toast and you can top it with avocados. You can top it with boiled eggs. You can top it with nut butters. You can top it with an egg and have some fruit or something on the side. Smoothies, you know, if you're okay with the blender in the morning, this is another great thing that you can prep. What I like to do is make something called smoothie bags. I have little Ziploc bags and I add in the fruits, the frozen fruits that I want to add in. I add in one or two vegetable sources. It's usually either pre-steamed cauliflower that's frozen, or pre-steamed zucchini, or even just spinach. And I add in the nuts and seeds that everything I want to add into my smoothie, I add into these freezer, like these Ziploc bags, and I keep them in the freezer. So at suhoor, if I feel like a smoothie, what I do is I take a freezer bag, I dump it into my blender, I add my liquid of choice. It's usually a nut milk or some water, and I blend it up. And you put everything you need in that smoothie, really quick, easy, ready to go. And then you can also make yogurt parfaits. And that's, again, simple. You have some yogurt in a bowl, you add some granola fruits and some nuts and seeds and stuff, and you've got a great suhoor meal. Again, really quick and easy, ready to go. And again, these meals will help you stay fuller for the day, help balance your blood sugar levels so you don't have, ups and down spikes, keeping our moods level. We're not suffering from hangry, which is actually something that happens. So things that you can prepare in advance. And again, for the last 10 days, this is perfect because, as I said, we're tired. So try one of these things to help you go. And hydration, another really, really important thing that happens in Ramadan is that we don't have enough hydration. We don't have enough time or that window to make sure our body's getting enough liquid. So we need to be more conscious of it. We need to be more mindful and making sure that we're getting enough liquid in those hours. So some things that you can try to do is keep a water bottle dedicated to you that you know the measurements of. So I have a bottle that's a liter. So I know I want to fill it up twice. Between Iftar and Suhoor, I'm filling up my 1 liter bottle twice, and I can keep track of it. No one's allowed to drink from that water because that's going to mess with my measurements. And that's what we do. We each have our own water bottle so we can make sure we're getting enough water in during that time. And I know, water, 2 liters of water plain is sometimes hard to take. Some people have a hard time drinking that much water. So some things that you can try is adding in a variety of fresh fruit and herbs to your water. So infuse your water with some fresh fruit or herbs. It just gives it a little flavor and just makes it a little more refreshing and different. Some of my favorite combinations are blueberry, basil, and lime. I like those combinations. I fill up a bottle in the morning and I add these fresh fruits in them. I seal it and I keep it in the fridge. So by the time Iftar time comes around, the water's infused with these flavors and I just drink it. And then you can have the fruits after too. So you're not wasting anything. Another favorite of mine is just lemon and mint. Strawberry and lemon's a good one as well. So get creative, have fun with it, and just infuse your water. At this point, we're drinking so much water. We're trying to get as much water that just mixes it up a little bit. That makes it a little more fun. What you also want to do is limit your caffeine intake, because what happens is black tea or coffee is high in caffeine and they're diuretics. So if you're going to have a cup of coffee, what they say is that with every cup of coffee, you need to replenish with 2 cups of water. You need to replenish your body with 2 cups of water. So as it is, we're not having enough water. And by having these caffeinated drinks, we're even taking away even more water than we want. So limit those. As I said before, if you opt for herbal teas, those are great. Decaf coffee you can try as well. You want to limit soda pops because, again, these are really high in sugar and they're caffeinated, and it's going to just take away from the hydration that your body needs. If you feel like having something that's carbonated, some people crave carbonation when they open their fast. What you can do is you can get sparkling water like Perrier, and you can add fresh fruit and herbs to that. So you're still getting the flavor of the fresh fruits and herbs, and you're getting the carbonation that you crave. And that's another great way to do that, to avoid the pops, but still get that satisfaction of having that bubbly liquid in your mouth. You want to make sure that you're hydrating with fresh salads, soups. You can have fruit shots, fruits for desserts, smoothies. All of these will help increase your hydration levels. Another thing you can try to do is add a little pinch of sea salt to your water to replenish your electrolytes that you lose through the day. So having water is great. It's giving you the hydration your body needs, but adding that little bit of sea salt increases your electrolytes, and it actually supports your adrenal, which is your stress hormones. So it helps support your adrenal hormones. So it's beneficial in two ways. So what I like to do is I'll have one glass, a little bit of water with the salt in it, and then I'll go back and drink my regular water. And you also want to limit high intensity workouts that will cause you to sweat, because again, you're going to be losing hydration from your sweat. So try to do more low impact workouts. And here's a list of some high water content fruits and vegetables. So if you're looking to get the most out of the foods and you want to have as many hydrating fruits and vegetables as you can in your non-fasting hours, these are some things to look at. Cucumbers are actually at the top with 97% water content, because that's basically all it is. It's just like water in a green shell. So these are some things you want to look into. You want to include into your salads. You can include them in your smoothies. You can juice them as well. And it just keeps you more hydrated. And that is the end of the slideshow. Oops. Sorry. Okay. I don't know if anyone has any questions, if this is a good question time or not, Mariam, but.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, we can give a minute or two, or if you'd like at the end. If anyone has any, actually, let's take, if anyone has a question right now, we can take one. Thank you so much, Sukena. This was, so amazing to, to learn about. Even for me, like just the pinch of salt is so important. Adding lemon, like taking, magnesium, things like that. Just like it just really boosts our system, and it's so important to know these things and to stay hydrated, even not just in Ramadan, but year round, inshallah.
Yeah,
so thank you so much for shedding that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Does anyone have any questions?
I know Sukena wanted to leave, so I'll just ask quickly. Sukena, I used to work at Heart and Stroke Foundation, and one cardiologist told me that the highest number of heart attacks he sees is after Ramadan. So when we celebrated Eid, so the months following, he said, sadly, in the Muslim community, and it was a fact. It's like he kind of, so is there any tips for people, who overindulge sometimes while opening the iftar or during seher? You've given us good tips, but anything else that we can add?
I think the biggest thing is also being mindful. So if you're mindful in what you're eating, and you're mindful in knowing that how these foods are going to affect you, that makes it a little bit easier to understand, or a little easier to keep track of it. Even after Ramadan, like, so Eid comes and all this food is available all day long, and we all overeat or overindulge on Eid and for a week or two after. And again, it's just being mindful of the fact that the food's not going anywhere. We have the next 11 months to eat and catch up with all of that. And that's my biggest tip usually, is just telling people, the more aware you are of what you're eating, and the more mindful you are of what you're eating and what the consequences can be of overeating. And that's a great fact that you shared with us, is that, it can lead to more heart attacks, and because you're just not careful or aware of what it's going into our system at that time.
I have a question for Sukena. That was just wonderful. I mean, so many very useful tips, and the diet packages were just so nutritional, and they made a lot of sense. Would you like to do a cooking show?
I have done live cooking shows before, yes.
Oh, you have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we're always trying to engage, our members in different activities, and what better activity than learning about, nutrition along with the other healthy habits. So we'll keep you in mind. That was so wonderful, so comprehensive. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you all found it helpful.
Very much so.
Yes, very much so. Thank you again, Sukena. If anyone has any questions for her, she has Instagram, and I don't know if you have other pages as well, but I believe it's Health and Food Junkie
Yes.
on Instagram. So please, follow her. We're more than happy to, send her information after the presentation. And thank you again, Sukena. Honestly, like this was really great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Love being a part of this.
Yay. So next, I would like to invite Atia Hassan or Hassan. So if I'm pronouncing it correctly without, using Arabic accent. So let me just pin her. So Atia has a BSc and MSc degree in home economics with a nutrition major. So Atia also can resonate with Sukena. From Pakistan and continued her education at the University of Toronto. She earned her financial education designations after a career change in 1985 and now works as a financial advisor. She has served as a member of the governance committee at Peel Institute for Violence Prevention since 2014. She was a member of the Spiritual and Religious Care Advisory Committee of the University Health Network for 5 years. She was a member of the board of directors for IDRF International Development and Relief Foundation for over 5 years. So please welcome Atia. Oh, and you're muted, Atia. I made the same mistake earlier.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that intro. I was going to ask whether we had decided how we were going to share the slides that I have.
So you can just how you prepared it, you can go ahead. We want to take this time, anyone that is Muslim or non-Muslim to learn about Imam Ali.
Okay. So, there. All right, I'm hoping everything will just move along fine. All right. So I am honored to share some information about Ali ibn Abu Talib. And he was, of course, most of you know, he was the first cousin of our Holy Prophet. But we'll go along with some. So just to bring everybody on the same page to review some important timelines. Our Prophet's grandfather, father, Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib, died before our Prophet was born in one of the year of the elephant. And at his age 5, his mom died. And then 3 years later, under guardianship of his grandfather. Then from age 8 to 25, he was a member of his uncle Abu Talib's family. At 25, he got married to Lady Khadija. 5 years later, his cousin Ali was born. And from a very young age, Ali stayed beside his cousin Muhammad in the streets of Mecca. And as they said, that he looked like he was a baby camel following his mother around. Then, of course, most of us are aware that our Prophet faced a lot of rejection and persecution. And as a matter of fact, the kuffar of among the Quraysh, they exiled him and his closest family for 3 years outside of the city of Mecca. And they lived in this little sort of valley that was between some of these rocky mountains outside or hills outside of Mecca. And that area was called Shebe Abu Talib. That means this little valley so it was the personal property of his uncle Abu Talib. And they lived there, everybody, for 3 years. And because of the boycott with them, that sometimes their family members were able to smuggle in food. I'm saying smuggle in, I mean, let's make it food for them. Otherwise, it was a really hard life. But he had I think it's really important to remember the people who helped him for the longest number of years, because it's only people who truly love you, who truly care about you, who will do things like that. So his uncle Abu Talib and his wife Fatima bint Asad and the rest of her family, they helped 17 years before Be'sat, that is before his declaration of Nubuwwah, and for another 13 years after that. And Khadija, Hazrat Khadija, she for 15 years before his Be'sat, and then 13 years after, which was before Hijrah. And both of them, these major helpers, died before Hijrah. And then young Ali, from his age 8 to 20 in Mecca, and then for the 11 years in Medina after the Hijrah, all the way to our Prophet's demise at his age 63. And I'm just talking about a few of the things, so you can understand that there's various ways of looking at what Ali alayhi salam had to offer, or what these two amazing personalities offered each other. Because Ali was loved, trained, and educated by his cousin Muhammad. When I say educated, of course, I'm referring primarily to about everything that means to be a Muslim, and to even before, of course, the entire Quran was revealed. And the services that he provided, Ali provided to the Holy Prophet were, of course, lifetime, but even he served as a helper and a protector from age 8, because many of the kuffar or their children or their teens used to throw stones at our Prophet after he had declared his prophethood. And Ali used to sort of shoo them by throwing stones back towards them. And so that was one of the ways. And also, as you know, that on the night of the Hijrah, that it's a very well-known fact that the Holy Prophet asked Ali to sleep on his bed, and that with Hazrat Abu Bakr with him, that these two gentlemen, using a miracle that the Holy Prophet used, so that the people outside who were gathered with the death plot against him, that they wouldn't be able to see him. And they left, and it was the next morning that Ali delivered all of the properties, because our Prophet was known as Sadiq and Amin, and so there was a lot of different people's property that was present in his home. And Ali, the next day, actually gave back the property of all of those people. And we know that he was the Quranic scribe and almost serving like an executive assistant to the Holy Prophet for pretty much his whole life. And then he was selected as Prophet's son-in-law, so he got married to Fatima. And so he was the father of the Prophet's four grandchildren, Hassan, Hussein, Zainab, and Kulthum. And he also served as a scribe for the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. I guess a lot of Muslims, at least in the past, were aware that when I say the past is because those who grew up like myself in Pakistan, because we had the Islamiyat curriculum, and the culture was all around us, that more people knew about these things, that there were these, after they moved to Medina, and that there were others, the Quraysh from Mecca tried to come towards Medina and fight with them, or try and kill them off, to kill off this young faith as they saw it, because our Prophet was telling them, you shouldn't be idol worshippers, you should believe in one God. And so there were a number of these, they were essentially, most of them, the Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, and most of them were really like one day military self-defense expeditions. But in the case of the citadel of Khaybar, which was owned and populated entirely by the Jewish community of Medina at the time, that they laid a siege, and apparently that the siege was over a number of weeks, and that Ali was one of the most remarkable warriors who helped the Muslims in these expeditions. None of them were to gather land or to force other people to accept Islam, because that's essentially not allowed. And Ali also performed the final rites and the burial of our Prophet in 11 Hijri. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is that Fatima Salamullahi alaiha also died in 11 Hijra due to injuries sustained when their home was attacked shortly after the Prophet died. She miscarried their fifth child, who they had pre-named as Mohsin. And in addition to Ali and his 40, she had actually gone to the door to de-escalate the situation, because people knew that when she came into the masjid, the Holy Prophet used to rise to greet her, and he always honored her and he loved her so much, and that the people who were at their door on that day, that they would that she would be able to de-escalate, but it didn't happen. So for some months, she was ill for some months, and then she died. And so Ali, of course, in those early days, around between 11 and, let me just say, for another 7 or 8 years, when his children were quite young, that this was a big project. There were a couple of other witnesses to the fact. They had Hazrat Bizza, who was a lady who used to help Sayyidah Fatima in her home, and then there was another lady, Ayman, and a few other people. In any case, moving along to services during the first and second caliphates. In public life, Ali served, of course, as an exemplary role model, because nobody at that time, after the passing of his wife Fatima, had as much time with the Holy Prophet as Ali did. And so he was an exemplary role model. And when asked by Hazrat Abu Bakr or Hazrat Umar to solve really difficult legal cases, he advised them and helped solve these cases. And he also advised, initiated, and supervised the building of civic infrastructure in Medina, such as roads, wells, and then aquifers for agriculture. And of course, as Hassan and Hussein grew up, they also helped with these things. At home, he raised his children. He completed the copy of the Quran that he had recorded. And then he was also continuing to regard ahadith of our Holy Prophet. And for those people among his friends, he shared the knowledge and the wisdom that he had gained from the Prophet. And his source of income was farming. Because of his knowledge base, and under Islam, there is a rule that if there is land that is lying barren, and somebody puts in the effort to find the water, till the soil, make it like real arable land, and so that it will start producing food, because people need food 3 times a day at least, right? So farming has always been important. And so he actually, he and his sons and some other friends, that they found water sources outside of the city of Medina, at some distance, and they actually started farming. And according to Islamic law, they were able to own that land. And so most of that land, the income from it was not because they lived any kind of, rich type of a life, but the money was employed for helping the poor and the widows, orphans, and disabled. Of course, you know that the Beit al-Mal was there, and the people did get some money from those sources, but there were others who needed more help. So that was the purpose of this farming also. Now I've actually just chosen 3 ahadith, and because in the case of ahadith, it's a little difficult because even though I am aware that at least growing up in Pakistan and in some of the sources that I checked on the internet, that there are sources but the exact wording of these hadiths is a little different depending upon the source. So if we were to just put on our thinking caps and say what we think about it, what is the, whether something is plausible or not, what is the real rational reason why this might have been said by our Holy Prophet, that I am the city of knowledge. Because, in those days, the cities were like a fortress, like they were citadel type of cities. And he said that Ali is the gateway to it. And the main reason that one can figure that from looking at it from the wider global Muslim lens, that because he spent so much time with the Holy Prophet, and that he had, being a family member, he had, compared to other people, he had, an extensive access to the Holy Prophet all days. You're probably also aware that their homes, how simple they were, but they were immediately outside of the walls of the Masjid al-Nabawi. And so they were very close, living in very close quarters to the Holy Prophet when he was alive. And so that's one way that we could look at it. And the other hadith, which is I've quoted over here, is, "O Ali, you are unto me like Harun was to Musa, except that after me there will not be any more prophets." Essentially, that even when Musa alayhi salam had to go up, even at first Allah had asked him to go onto Mount Sinai for 30 days, and according to the Quran, then he was asked to add another 40 days, but he knew that the people of the children of Israel, that they would get antsy in his absence. So Harun was the one who was to lead them. And I'm sure you know the story of what happened, that unfortunately, while he was gone, one of the guys, he put together this golden calf, and they started worshiping the calf. So anyway, we'll leave that alone, except that the key thing over here is that even in the case of 40 days, Musa alayhi salam knew that he needed help. And even on other occasions, when Allah asked Musa to go and talk to the Pharaoh and use gentle language, like the "Qulu qawlan layyina," for those who speak Arabic, they would understand that he was sad. And Musa, of course, he said, I'm not as well spoken as Harun is, and I am afraid of facing the Pharaoh. I mean, it's quite a little speech. And he asked Allah, please appoint my brother Harun to come with me and to help me along. So this conversation is included in the Quran. So the idea is that, even great prophets like Musa alayhi salam, they needed somebody else to help out on occasion, quite a lot in fact. And then the third one that I've quoted over here is, I'm leaving behind two things of great consequence, the Quran and my Ahl Bayt. And if you adhere to them, you will meet me at the fountain of Kawthar. Here again, if we look at it from more like a rational and a global lens, then of course the Quran is the lasting miracle of the Holy Prophet and for Islam. It's because everything that was revealed to the Holy Prophet is present in the Quran. And the other thing that where the Ahl Bayt served was that, you know, the Quran cannot stand in front of a group of people and explain itself. Quran needs to be explained, whether it was back then or whether it is today. So one needs the best possible helpers that you could find. And so when you have the best possible teachers and the Quran together, then our chances of getting into the right place, as in Jannah, in the hereafter, are much higher rather than otherwise. Now, the Nahjul Balagha is actually a collection of the letters, sermons, and sayings of Ali alayhi salam. And while among his family and friends, this knowledge base was well known, well maintained, well shared among them, but there were many hostile years and hostile political reasons that these collections could not be shared in the general public. So it was actually a few centuries after his passing that Sayyid Sharifuddin Razi actually collected them. So the red covered book that you see is my copy that I requested my mom. This has the Arabic on the one side and Urdu translation on the other side. And on the right-hand side, the brown cover is all English. And the book on the left is actually, it's a subject-wise collection of not all, but a number of the content of the Nahjul Balagha. And actually, you might have heard that there was this, there's the Mu'tazilite school, and there's this person, Ibn Hadid Mu'tazili. He did a Sharh Nahjul Balagha, which means like he tried to explain the Nahjul Balagha. And I think he has something like a dozen different volumes to it. And he was not from the Shia school, so he was from the Mu'tazilite school. In any case, so there are also the du'as, the supplications written by Ali alayhi salam, and some of the most well-known among them are Du'a Kumail and Du'a Sabah and Du'a Mashlul. So this little booklet actually has those in Arabic, and it's been translated by William Chittick. So just because these are, of course, people who lived at the same time, the Khulafai Rashidun, that means the first four caliphs in Islam, who are the political leaders, are called, the Rashidun means those who were the rightly guided. And so just very briefly, that Ibn Qahafa, who later came to be known as Abu Bakr, because he came to be known as Abu Bakr because his daughter, Hazrat Aisha, Aisha, was the only one of his wives whom he took on in Medina, because in Mecca, Hazrat Khadija was his only wife for 25 years. So he became known as Abu Bakr because she was the only virgin among his wives in Medina. Then he was Khalifa for less than 3 years. Then Umar ibn al-Khattab, Hazrat Umar, was for 10 years, and then Hazrat Usman for about 13 years, and Ali ibn Abi Talib from 36 to 40 Hijrah. He chose Kufa in Iraq as his capital city. There's been a few different reasons why we were told that he chose Kufa. One of them was because the Islamic State was bigger and he needed at first a more central place. Another reason I was told was that the ships from China used to come to Basra with paper, and there was a huge need for paper to share and to make more copies of the Quran and more knowledge to be shared. So that's among the reasons. And then just very briefly about how Ali was as Khalifatul Muslimin, his key efforts were to reestablish the rule of social justice, integrity, and austerity, to channel resources to create dignity and equity as taught by the Holy Prophet. Those of you who are students of history know that unfortunately Hazrat Usman was sort of besieged in his home, even though Ali and had appointed Hassan and Hussein to protect him, but the assailants they scaled a wall and entered his home, not from the front door, but from back door, or not even back door, from scaling the wall. So that was a difficult time in any case. I just wanted to suggest, like, if you're reading, because Nahjul Balagha, among other books, is available on the internet. And this, what I call a fireside chat called Khutbah Humam, sermon number 192. In some, it may be a little different number, but this is, in this, 5 times, Ali says that a mu'min is nonviolent. So, and it's very beautiful, it's short, it's not long, it's easy to understand. And this letter to Malik al-Ashtar, when he appointed him as the governor of Egypt, it's about good governance. And this letter is so amazing that it was presented to the United Nations some, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was presented in its entirety over there. And they said that because he had instructions for Malik as to how he should deal with the people who are in the military, how to deal with the general public, how to deal with the people who are running the government, and how to deal with the general public. And it is so ethical, so equitable, and so detailed that it is an amazing document. So I already mentioned Dua Kumail. And for those of you who do know Arabic, and I know my dad taught me enough Arabic, classical Arabic, the Quranic Arabic, that, you know, when you read these supplications or du'as in Arabic, that just like, well, I mean, it's second in terms of its literary beauty and its spiritual beauty. And that you'll find that you'll have tears rolling down your face. So which is likely to happen when you're hearing the truth. So in Najaf, I've just pointed out, this is the mausoleum or the shrine of Ali alayhi salam. And so I've used the word over here, bonding with Ali alayhi salam, because lots of people want to bond with him. Now, talking briefly about that, you know, that on the 19th of Ramadan, during Fajr Salat in the Masjid of Kufa, in Sajda, he was attacked with a poisoned sword by this guy called Abdul Rahman ibn Muljam. I won't go into whether, you know, he was acting on his own or whether he was a paid killer. In any case, he delivered a fatal wound. He didn't die right on the spot because the poison actually killed him on the 3rd day. And these words which he said, "Fuztu bi Rabbil Kaaba," this Ali alayhi salam said, "Fuztu bi Rabbil Kaaba" means today I have succeeded by the Rabb of Kaaba, because he felt that he had delivered his duties to people in the most in the best possible way, and that he got this fatal wound while he was in sajda, while he's in Fajr prayers, and that, you know, he was doing what a mu'min would like to do, and die as a shaheed. And he was buried by his sons Hassan and Hussein, and then his family members, Hassan Hussein and his daughters, they moved back to Medina at that point. He's definitely a very remarkable personality, and Muslims can learn a lot. And in the case of Shia 12 were Muslims, he's the first of 12 holy imams. Two of the first ones, Hassan and Hussein, were his sons, and the other 9, they were all direct descendants of Hussein in an unbroken chain of narration, teaching, and leadership. So I think that's all the slides that I have. And if there are any questions that anybody has at this point, I'd be happy to answer. And if I don't know the answer, then I'd be happy to provide the answer in a few days. Thank you for your attention and the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Atia. That was so well done and very detailed, which is really good. I'm sure that there will, if anyone does have any questions, we can spare a minute before we go on to our next presenter. If anyone has any questions for Atia.
Atia, it's Firdaus. I don't have a question, but a comment to say that, you know, Hazrat Ali was such a, a guardian and a savior for the Prophet and friend. And, you know, the Shia Sunni divide, I myself am a Sunni. And it's so disheartening to see that, we have created these divides, you know, because as humans, we love the division. And it's just so sad to see that two people who may be the closest to each other, have a legacy that of people who are living with so much divide and hate sometimes. So it's so sad.
Actually, I find that the greater the ignorance, the greater this divide is. And the more the knowledge and enlightened people, the less likely there is this. Because I know that the way I was raised, and people among our family were raised, that we're all the followers of our Prophet, and the Quran is our book, and that we must at all times treat people who may hold different views regardless of what their reasons might be. And just like Allah has said in the Quran, that it's important to share gracefully the knowledge that you have and engage in a proper discussion. So you probably have heard this expression, argumentation is actually doesn't mean that you argue and get hot-headed. Argumentation is actually the art of discussing things in such a way that two groups who might have originally started out as being quite different and quite entrenched and different in their views, and perhaps not knowing about certain facts, not knowing about certain principles, that they would, at the end of that discussion, at the end of that rational discussion, and making sure that people are focusing on what Allah said, people have to use aql, right? And aql, first of all, also demands nonviolence. Islam demands nonviolence. So definitely, it is sad. So, we see that there are people who unfortunately have such ignorance on their hands that they are the ones who are most likely to use. And it doesn't matter which side, I mean, whether you're Shia or Sunni, ignorance is a horrible place to be. And for those people who will choose to be enlightened, and to ask rational questions, to be gracious, they're likely to feel the love that our Holy Prophet expects from all of us, for all of each other, regardless of whether we are Shia or Sunni or whatever.
Great. Thank you so much, Atia. It's so important to highlight this. I know we even spoke before too, just to make sure that, there isn't any sort of discrepancies or, offenses, especially since this is, could be such a sensitive topic. And it's just so important because he is an important figure in Islam, and it's important to discuss and to also have, open conversation as well. So thank you so much for taking time to teach us today.
I feel honored that you asked me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So next, I would like to introduce Wafat. Wafat has taught yoga, meditation, and breath coaching in French and English across Canada. She currently is working on launching and offering yoga classes on her website. In 2015, Wafat received the Athlete of the Year medal for her community work and other volunteering. Please welcome Wafat.
Thank you so much, Mariam, for the warm introduction. And also thank you to everyone who is present. I will try to be brief. I would like to pick up from where Atia left about nonviolence. Rightfully so, we live in an era where stress manifests in different ways. And stress has been there. I cannot speak about the past and history because I wasn't there. I didn't experience it physically, but stress is a phenomenon. And fortunately, we won't be speaking about it, but it's important to start there because it can be a source of non-violence, of violence, although it is not a reason for it. But let's connect that with the world we live in. In French, we say maux de dos, maux du siècle. Back pain is the ailment of the century. I would like to add to that stress is the ailment of the century, and it manifests inside out and mostly outside in. So let us start from the inside out. I would like to invite you to take a comfortable seated position, relax your shoulders, make sure that your spine is neutral, erect like a mountain, meaning I invite you to lift your sternum slightly up, as if you want to show your beautiful imaginary or visible necklace. So that's the idea of the sternum. And then just make sure that your chin is parallel to the ground. Make sure that you touch earth. It's Earth Day today with your feet. And just rest your hands, whatever feels comfortable. I'd like to invite you to relax your face, maybe keeping your eyes open, but soften your eye gaze. Perhaps closing the eyes may feel a little bit better, depending on how you feel. And then without further ado, I would like to bring your attention, undivided attention, to your breath right now. More specifically to your belly. Perhaps resting the left hand on your belly, comfortably, on your navel, to just feel how is the quality of the breath there. So we're not forcing anything to happen. We're just creating some awareness right now. And while you are there, I would like to invite you to rest your right hand on your sternum. So just above the heart area. Feel your heartbeat and feel the gratitude for this moment. And as you are feeling your heart, the beautiful internal music, sacred music of yours, I would like to invite you to feel how your inhales are right now. Oftentimes we intellectualize what we do, which is normal. Right now, I would like to bring you to allow your breath to take over the mind, if I may. Giving it all the space it deserves right now, just by becoming aware of it, non-judgmentally. And maybe just beginning to inhale a little bit deeper. And maybe exhale through pursed lips, like you have a straw and you're creating bubbles. Relax your face, relax your jaw. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale slowly. And exhale through pursed lips and controlled, and lengthen your exhale. Excellent. One last time at your pace. Great. You can relax your hands and slowly open your eyes. Wonderful. So usually in yoga, we do 10 minutes of breathing, and we do it when we are on the mat or on the bed, wherever feels comfortable for you. So on the spine. Why? Because we want to feel the belly rising and falling. It is natural to breathe from the belly. If you notice, all babies do that naturally. But somehow we lose that natural way of breathing with our busy lives. We are stimulated more than ever in the entire history of humankind. So with that, I would like to invite you to start exploring a meditation of yours, 5 minutes per day, incorporate this type of breathing, and just leave everything aside. Easier said than done. That's why I will give you 2 tools. The first one is space. Yes, there is a lot of space outside and the universe is limitless, subhanallah. How about finding that space inside of us? I remember my grandmother had the saying, space is in the heart. So no matter how life can change, homes can shrink, and sometimes entire families live happily back in the days, and even in today's world, hopefully happily in one room. And that's why the saying that I really cherish and love, space is in the heart. So try to find that spaciousness that's inside of you. And that is the beginning of getting rid of stress, of that constricted feeling. And we need the breath too. So number 2, the breath. Number 1, the intention. Okay, I need to create space inside, although I don't understand it. So it's not something that we intellectualize. Although there is a component of meditation that is about visualization. We'll come to that because different people react differently to different types of meditation. So I give you a little bit of both. And so find that space. Sometimes touching your heart, touching your belly creates that connection that we call interoception, mind, body, breath. So when you feel your heartbeat, you feel your belly, and you start to withdraw your senses inward and truly feel your breath. It can be an experience of a lifetime for some people who lost that connection that we have with our sense of existing, of being. Also, the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. We have 2. Our goal when we do yoga or breathing or meditation is to balance the nervous system, and we need that to get rid of stress. So when we balance the nervous system, we do it through breathing. There is no other secret. Let me leave you with one thing. It is the vagus nerve. It is called vagus nerve because it comes from Latin, vagus, and vagus means vagabond, like a nerve, the wanderer. So it is the most important nerve that we have because it connects the brain through the throat, the heart, and is everywhere. This vagus nerve is really checking. His role is to check, is this person really breathing well right now? If that's the case, I'm going to inform the brain, you know what, you can relax here, it's going well down here. So that's the vagus nerve. And that's why breathing exercises really work, because we do stimulate the vagus nerve in order to balance the nervous system. Another way to stimulate it, and I will link it to Ramadan and to Islam, is to do tajweed, Quran. I honestly, because I'm aware of the breath, thanks to my trainings, I feel like some energy here. It's not happening here. It's really here. And as you know, the chakras are also a science, and also philosophy, because yoga is a science that has more than 5,000 years and is connected to the Muslim world. So it's a discipline. It's not a religion. Yes, it can be used as a religion if someone wants to, why not? But as I study it from the source, It's a discipline. So coming back to Tajweed Quran, to chanting, to using your voice, you are stimulating the vagus nerve right here. You're making it vibrate, and it has this relaxation effect when you do that. So I would like to thank you for this opportunity to be among wonderful speakers today, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Wafat. That was so well done. I feel a lot more relaxed. I feel that a lot of the time we're not doing that. We're not taking these deep breaths, and we need to be more conscious of doing that, because when we're not, we're more stressed, and we just, even just, you know, those couple of minutes, those few minutes makes a huge difference. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you.
I'm actually gonna take the stage now. So it's my turn. So thank you all again for all the speakers and for taking the time. It won't be ending yet. So actually I just wanted to bring attention to our fundraising campaign and why we all are here. So I'm just gonna share my screen very quickly. So as you all, or many of you may know, we have launched a campaign to support Muslim women who have experienced gender-based violence. And we have launched a campaign that has been asking you all to purchase dates, and a portion of it would go to our campaign. As well, you know, additional donations are also accepted. The importance of this really is to just, you know, to help those women that have been in need, that have been contacting CCMW, who have been asking for help or for, you know, access to justice, and to be, you know, to help against violence. In the past couple of weeks, we have already raised over $22,000 already, alhamdulillah, and that's with less than 10 days left in Ramadan. As we enter the last 10 days in Ramadan, we ask you to still consider donating to our fundraising campaign, supporting Muslim women who are facing gender-based violence and access to justice. Our goal is $30,000. The last 10 days of Ramadan are important to gain multiple rewards by giving sadaqah or of your zakat to those in need. The rewards of giving sadaqah or zakat during Ramadan are multiplied by 70 in the reward of any righteous act during Laylatul Qadr that could fall on any of these days coming up, and is equivalent to having, you know, performed the same act every day for over 83 years, inshallah. So please, your continued generosity is most important. As Sukena even mentioned before, dates are, you know, still super important to have as an alternative to sugar. So instead of having sugar, having dates in your drinks, or, you know, supplement of sugar is really important. So we're still selling dates. And in addition to that, if you're not interested in purchasing dates, you know, please consider donating in the last 10 days, or referring a friend or someone that you know to our campaign. So again, thank you all so much for coming out and to supporting, as well as purchasing a ticket today has also made a contribution to this event. So thank you all for that. I'm going to hand over to Shaheen to end off the night, as well as to Farhat, inshallah.
Shaheen, you have to
Are you
unmute
still with
yourself.
us? Yes, I'm trying to look for her to pin her as well. Oh, there she is.
Oh. Everyone's making that mistake today, huh?
There you go. Thank you so much, Shaheen.
Here you go again.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Walaikum assalam. I guess this
You
concludes
look
our program
beautiful,
today.
Shaheen. Beautiful. MashaAllah.
Oh my goodness, who's this now?
Fazia.
Fazia.
Do we have Farhat here? I think she wanted to also.
Yeah, Farhat is going to say her dua that she worked hard and wrote everything. And I just want to thank everyone for attending and being a part of making this evening so pleasant and enjoyable. All speakers, all guests, all our attendees today. We all came together to make this a success. So as we begin everything in the name of the Lord, so shall we finish. My favorite ending dua before Farhat comes on is a very short one, and it just goes, Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim, which translates to, our Lord, accept this service from us. Indeed, you are the one who hears and knows everything. So I hope everyone will have a good iftar. And please keep on supporting CCMW and hoping to meet up with everyone soon, inshallah. Farhad.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I'll have to. Okay. Let me do this. So I'm in a room. It's the AIDS Committee of Ottawa. There's a big iftar here, so there's a lot of people. So I will begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. O Almighty Allah, our Creator, most merciful, we are gathered before you in humility and submission to your will. O Allah, consider us among the righteous and bestow your mercy on your children, our parents, our friends, and us. O Allah, we believe you judge us solely on our actions and not on our appearances. So bless us with compassion and kindness for each other and fill our hearts with your love and mercy. We pray to you and beseech you to remove the danger and hardships faced by many of us struggling for justice and peace in this world. Please protect and guide the innocent, the ones who have fallen on hard times, and those who are steadfast in the path of seeking justice and peace. O Allah, may this blessed month of Ramadan bring healing and peace to those who are ill, to those who are incarcerated, and those in need and distress. O Allah, bring success and fulfillment to those who strive to do good in this world, which includes the healthcare providers who have gone beyond their duties during this pandemic to treat others and have done so with compassion and caring. We beg your forgiveness for any wrongs and selfish acts we knowingly or unknowingly may have committed or may commit in our lifetimes. O Allah, we ask you to fulfill our hearts and minds with the gentle light of knowing you and fulfilling your plan for us in this world. Thank you. Jazakallah.
Thank you, Farhad. That was so beautiful.
Shaheen, you're muted. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do I need to say now? I've done my job.
You have done your job. Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you,
I've done
everyone.
my
Again.
job. Yeah.
I hope those who have purchased meals that you have received them. If not, they should be on the way. And I'm hoping that they will arrive soon if you haven't received them. Yeah, and if everyone would like now, I guess we can end the recording. And thank you. If you like, we can stick around before Iftar starts and just say hi to everyone before we eat.